Hi everyone, this is Juliana from the Fall 2019 team. So today I am going to show you how to use MetaTrader. So our team, as I said in the environment setting up video, is concerned with more with the VPS API and with MetaTrader and the code that goes here. So the places where I had to do code, mostly it's going to be expert advisor. So in this folder and in this include folder, that will have all of your helper classes to include here. All of the classes that you see here would be in that include. And then so yeah, to get these maybe a little confusing, you would go to the include, effort, EFWE, and you would have all of these here. So log order events right there. So yeah, where you would be writing code is here in the experts, the include if you need a helper class, and scripts, maybe you would have to write some scripts. So the expert advisors are basically kind of a code that is supposed to be running automatically in the background of MetaTrader. So this code would do all of the transactions and logging transactions, making transactions, and managing if the terminal is open, closed, or anything. I hadn't worked with any of the scripts, so I don't know what the scripts are mainly for, but if you check one, you would see that this one runs expert advisor, so it just starts them up. So yeah, I haven't worked with much of this, but I work with the expert advisors. So this meta editor, where you get it, is when you download MetaTrader 5, and I showed you to download. Let me see. When you download MetaTrader 5, it would also download this little icon, so you would have to, pardon my desktop, it's horrible, but you would have this MetaTrader, and it would download with this meta editor. So you would open meta editor, and you would have something without these files, because these files are from, you get them from here that I talked about this repository in the first video, the setup video. So this folder, you would have to make meta editor use that folder, and the way you do that is you go here in file, open data folder, and this is going to be a path that you should have maybe, I don't know, memorized, because you're going to be accessing a lot, because this is where the terminals are, and terminal is an instance of the MetaTrader. So if you download MetaTrader twice, it will create another terminal. I've downloaded it 3 times, and it creates several terminals. So let me go to the one I was, so I'm not confused. So yeah, you would have to replace this MQL5 folder with this one, so that then you would have all of this. So if you look in here, you'd see it's just this, right? So you check experts, because you are going to have experts, but they will, the default is all of these except manage terminal. That's one of the ones we added. So the default are all of those, but the ones that we added are here. You have all of our expert advisors. So the way to test this code, let me show you the one I worked on the most, Think Expert. So this would take the data from an account, a user account, and log it to the effort API. So all of this information is sent directly to the effort side using this HTTP request. So the thing about MetaTrader is that you can't use a regular request. There's a function, if you look up, there's a ton of documentation on how to code in MetaTrader, because this is like a different style of code, if you probably tell. So there's all documentation that you can check, like look up these functions and they will come up, or any of this. So this is like already defined within the MetaTrader language, which is I think MQL5, so you can look up that. So this is either stuff like you can get the balance of a user of your demo account. You can get it with these functions. So you can try looking up a lot in the documentation, because there's going to be a lot of functions like time current also that are already, all of these ones in purple are already defined. Yeah, so you can see the purple ones are already defined. And when you have to write code, make sure you look in the other expert advisors to see if there's any other useful functions. So most of the code in here uses a different type of request. I don't know if any of the code still has it, but you may run into something that is using a different type of code, like it's using a simpler HTTP request. It's just making a simple have in one function and doesn't have all of this stuff. But the thing was that we can't actually do that, use that HTTP request function, because we need to have permission in the MetaTrader. And yeah, it's a big deal, a big important deal, and it's difficult kind of to explain. It's just going to confuse more. But the thing is, we can only use this like when init DLL. So import that, and you have to define the functions that you're going to use from there. So you need that, and this is a little bit complicated how to do API requests to the effort side, but the best examples are in the sync expert, because it does a ton of calls. So there is a token handling class. I'm going to talk more about token handling in my Postman video, but basically to make any call, you're going to need to be authorized by a token. And what this piece of code, this part here, does is that this is already defined by our team. We created that class to do the call to create a token that I will show in Postman. So look at that video if you want more information, and generate the token, basically to be authorize the rest of the HTTP request. So you're gonna need a it's commented so you can see that you need an array for the data that's going to be sent. You need a response array, and you need the response headers. If you don't really care, I usually don't care about the headers. The important thing is the headers that you will use to send the information, not the ones that you receive. So you also have to have these variables. So this is really important. This header uses this retrieve token that we get here from the generate token and the token handling class. So this is gonna provide the authorization, so make sure this is there. And then you're gonna need to do the set of functions like this. So this one is set for localhost. So here you would have localhost, the port number, your path. I'm going to explain more of this in the Postman video if you don't know how to get this path. And then you would have internet flag secure, but only when you are using HTTPS. And when you're using HTTP, you would set this to 0. So make sure that localhost is HTTPS, but this are, if you want to do it in the staging server, you will see that this is, I think, yeah, HTTP. So for when you use that address, you would change this to port 443 and change this to 0. But you can check out the code in the actual staging server. So you would go to the data folder in the staging server, and you can see in the sync expert file that it's all changed for there. But for localhost, this is how you would use it. And this is localhost if for the effort API. And if you want to send something for the BPA API, this port number would be different. I think it's like 5001. So 5001. So yeah. Here's just checking if the response was correct, and to get information like from the response, you would need to do this while loop that creates a string with the characters that come in as a response. So you set that as a string, and just here I had to do different things to separate that string, but this response would be what the response that comes out if you were using Postman, the response that comes here, okay? And then another important thing is the data you pass in. So here I'm passing data 1, and so this is a array of characters. So what I did was have a JSON because the format of the input is a JSON. I think this one I have in Postman, so you can see let me see the body. So it would be something like this, a JSON. So I'm creating that and then setting it to be a character array right here in this piece, and then sending it. You would also need to include these two pieces of code after you finish using the response, everything. You need to close it, because if you are doing several calls, HTTP calls using the same variable, it will take up. Like you will not be able to do a lot consecutively, because that would be taken up by a previous one, and you have to wait. Like it's gonna be a like waiting thing, because you'll have to wait for this to finish. So if you close it after it's done, and open up another one later, you won't really need to wait for that specific one. So to test this expert advisor, you would click on any of these two. Really, I use the blue one, and this would open up the MetaTrader for you. Let me show you. So you don't have to open MetaTrader on your own. This is the easiest way I found to test any expert advisor stuff. So it opens the MetaTrader. You need to be logged in. If you want to see your credentials for your account, you can look at them here. Go to your mailbox and you can see your password that was created. So all this would be created for you. Here you will see the advisors that are running. So you have Sync Experts running. I have to turn on auto trading for it to work. And then to see the messages, you'll see all the messages from the different. Let me turn off Manage Terminal, so you can see these are all the messages that I set in here. You can see I have a couple of print statements. They would all go here. So this is how I check that all the data. So I would just put the data here to check that I'm getting a token, that I'm getting the correct credentials, and all that. So yeah, that's how you test an expert advisor, and the expert advisor basically runs like this. for all the time that you have auto trading on, it just runs on its own. So